New legal headlines for Donald Trump as he pivots to campaign mode. Trump wants the gag order in the hush money case lifted before the first presidential debate, as the Supreme Court did not issue its ruling Friday on Trump's claims to absolute presidential immunity. And a Texas man is charged with threatening an FBI agent, saying guns will come out if the next election is stolen. The charges come as former members of Trump's inner circle raised the alarm on his post-conviction threats of revenge and retribution.
I think you need to take him literally, but I think you also, I hate to even spend my time trying to be in the mind of Donald Trump, but read the tea leaves a bit about the priorities of things. Rage and retribution are going to be the governing principle.
Joining me now, Katie Phang, attorney and host of the Katie Phang Show, which preceded this one here on Msnbc. Thank you for a little overtime, my friend. So what more are we learning about the role Trump's rhetoric could play in the charges related to the threats against the FBI and this agent?
Yeah, well, Alex, the common denominator that you actually can detect from everything that you just went through, either from Mar-a-Lago to the Manhattan case to even the arrest that was done of the threats made to that FBI agent, is exactly that, threats, the danger to law enforcement, to victims, to witnesses, to people that participate in the judicial system. And the other common denominator, who's the perpetrator? It's Donald Trump. And so we have an FBI agent who was arrested, we have a man who was arrested in Texas because of threats that he made to an FBI agent relating to the Hunter Biden case. And you also know that in Florida, in the classified documents case, Jack Smith is moving to modify the bond conditions of Donald Trump because of the threats that he's made and the lies that he's made about how the Mar-a-Lago search warrant was executed on that place. And then you also have in the Manhattan case, the fact that Donald Trump wants the gag order lifted there. But remember, that gag order was put in place in New York because of the threats that were being made by Donald Trump to the safety of the witnesses in that case. And so, again, what you have is a challenge to many different judges in different jurisdictions to maintain respect for the First Amendment rights for Donald Trump, but also realizing that legally those First Amendment rights stop when you use your First Amendment free speech to be able to perpetrate threats and to pose a danger to others.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. I'm reading what this 43-year-old Timothy Mueller said.
It's wild.
It's pretty vile. It really is. And left it in a voicemail, no less. Anyway, so the first presidential debate, as you know, 11 days away, sentencing day on Trump's 34 felony count hush money conviction, 2 weeks after the debate. And then days after sentencing, he will become the GOP presidential nominee. So Trump's motion to terminate the gag order, it accuses Alvin Bragg, the DA, of course, of political motives. Katie, do you expect the judge to terminate the gag order before sentencing?
No, I don't expect Judge Merchan to terminate that gag order before sentencing. And in fact, I had a conversation with the very brilliant Barb McQuaid on my show right before yours. And I asked her, can we expect those kind of bond conditions to continue past sentencing? And she said yes. And I tend to agree with Barb because he's going to take an appeal, Alex, of that conviction, of his sentence that he's going to get from Judge Merchan. And while that appeal is pending, he will likely be out of custody. He will have the ability to move about freely. And even though that seems to be, you know, hypocritical to a lot of people as compared to other criminal defendants, yes, he is the putative presidential nominee for the GOP. But Judge Merchan's not going to lift that gag order. And the reason why is it was restrictive to begin with. People seem to have this misconception sometimes that gag orders are broad, but you're not allowed to legally have broad gag orders. And in this instance, in New York, it was a very narrowly tailored, and gag order is not right. It was a restriction on the ability for him to attack others. And so why lift a gag order that does not prevent Donald Trump from being able to exercise his political free speech rights and to talk about the issues and the policies that are at play for this presidential race? But otherwise, you should expect to see that gag order stay completely intact.
Yeah, that makes sense, all the arguments you're offering there. So legal experts believe that Trump rolled the dice on taking the hush money case to trial and will not get the leniency that's normally given to defendants who plead guilty. And NBC News is reporting the RNC is preparing for the possibility that Trump may not even be able to attend the convention if he gets, let's say, home confinement sentence. Katie, how severe is the sentence likely to be? And does the judge need to take politics into consideration when figuring out what the sentence will be?
So I'll answer your last question first. Absolutely not. Politics do not come in. Remember, we look at our judicial system with Lady Justice being blind. And so without fear or favor, that applies to us in the media. The same thing definitely applies to people like Judge Merchan. So politics don't play into any of this. When it comes to sentencing, Donald Trump can get anything from probation to jail. There are a lot of factors that militate in favor of Donald Trump getting a jail sentence in this case, including a lack of remorse. But we don't punish criminal defendants for executing and exercising, their right to go to a jury trial. You're welcome to do that. But if you're going to go to a jury trial and a jury of your peers finds you to be guilty, if you continue to show no remorse, if you continue to be criminal in terms of the stuff that you have going on, including the fact that you have other multiple indictments going on, that is what's going to factor into Judge Merchan's consideration. Remember, just last week, Donald Trump did that pre-sentence investigation interview with a probation officer in New York via Zoom, which was an anomaly in and of itself. And we're not going to be able to see that PSI report, but that report will be generated and being given to Judge Merchan and all of the parties in this case. And we'll expect to see Judge Merchan do what he thinks is right. And again, Donald Trump is welcome to appeal that decision if he disagrees with it. But Merchan has been calling balls and strikes as he sees them, Alex.
Yeah, very, very much so. Quickly, yesterday, the immunity decision, presidential immunity, didn't come down from the Supreme Court. Many anticipated that it would. What do you think is behind the holdup?
I don't know. I mean, Ian Millhiser were talking about it as well last hour. You know, they've got until the end of the term. The term technically is the end of June, but we do have some grumblings that maybe it'll kind of, bleed into the beginning of July. I would hate to think that there's something like the justices saying, let me drop this grenade and then walk away and go on my summer vacation. But you know what? It's happened before with the Dobbs decision where it came at the very last minute before they said, peace out, we're going away. And so I'm a little bit concerned about, listen, whatever happens, we will have to deal with the consequences of it, but I am fully confident you're not going to get a ruling from the Supreme Court of the United States that Donald Trump has absolute criminal immunity.
Yeah, I think that is shared by many. Okay, Katie Phang, thank you so much. I guess maybe we'll be talking next weekend about what's gone down. Thank you. And for all of you, you may watch the Katie Phang Show. It is Saturdays, noon Eastern, right before this one here on Msnbc. Mr. Trump goes to Washington. What to make of his first visit to Capitol Hill since the January 6th attack?